What is your horrible freshman roommate story? He was leaving dirty plates in his bed, covered with his sheets. When he was going to sleep, he just kicked the plates and didn't bother to clean them. Left for class but it got cancelled, and when I came back in the room my roommate was in my video game chair watching Lifetime with 1/4 of nighttime cold medicine next to him and my camp blanket up around his neck. Conversation followed. Me. You naked under my blanket? Him. Yeah man. Me. Beaten off to Lifetime high on cold meds? Him. Yeah man. Me. I'll be back in 10 minutes, don't be here. Him. Yeah man. He brought a keyboard. He only know the first 50 seconds or so of the Star Wars Cantina song, but practiced those 50 seconds as loudly as possible for hours at a time. The first night I met my freshman roommate, she introduced herself and said, "Completely seriously, have you seen that movie where one of the roommates kills himself and the other gets a free ride? Do you think that would really happen?" She was always good at icebreakers. She was disgusting and a total slob and wouldn't let me clean her side of the room. It was always super cluttered with shit everywhere. Our room had a gross smell all the time because of her. So I finally broke down and decided to let her be mad at me, and cleaned everything. I found cups, like 5 or 6, of partially drank spoiled, rotten, curdled chocolate milk. Plates of partially eaten moldy food. It was horrible. She got so pissed off that I cleaned it that she ended up moving in with another girl. I wasn't upset about it. She'd also have loud crazy sex at any and all hours of the night. Wouldn't lock our door and I ended up getting some items stolen. It was a mess. She got kicked out for failing. And the night before she left she got super drunk, threw up everywhere and left me to clean it up. You know you're an adult when you're the one cleaning up the puke. I was in a small triple freshman year. Early on my roommate was extremely studious and would accept nothing lower than pretty much an A on everything. He would beat himself up if it wasn't good enough and we would try to get him to relax a bit. Second half of freshman year he buys a new computer and WoW. Refuses to go to class and played WoW non-stop all night and would sleep through the whole day. It was disrupting to me and my other roommate. He eventually ended up pretty much dropping out of school. I've never seen such a change around. He has actually gotten back on track though and has been doing pretty well for himself. This is actually really sad. My roommate had epilepsy, and her mom was a Christian Scientist. Therefore, she was unmedicated and had seizures all the time. In the room, on the street, in class, she was always in danger and had serious brain damage because of this. I would watch while she seized and peed herself because I had no idea how to help her. I was friends with a girl a year behind me. Her freshman year she was randomly matched with a girl who, 1, was convinced she was in a relationship with the lead singer of Tokyo Hotel, and had been for several years. But it was obviously some catfisher on the internet. They would Skype where only he could see her. His video would be blank for security reasons and he told her they could never meet in person because of the media. And since he was always on tour she would Skype with him at all hours of the night to make up for the time zone differences. It was actually kinda sad scary. Several people I know tried to explain to her that she was being taken advantage of, but she would not listen. Pretty sure she did stuff on camera for him and sent him money. 2. Brought multiple bags from home stuffed full of her cat's hair, and knitted tiny clothes figurines whatever out of it. My friend was of course very allergic to cat hair. My freshman roommate lost her virginity the night before moving to her much older, very creepy, unemployed, musician, boyfriend, in the hotel room that she was sharing with her mom and little sister, who were in the bed next to them. This guy basically lived with us on weekends. I had to always change in the dark because a strange creepy dude was lying there, usually butt naked. They had a lot of gross sex. She decided it would be funny to pants me during a 4 AM fire drill in front of the entire dorm, which was co-ed. I don't wear underwear to sleep. She failed to see how this wasn't hilarious. There were a million other things, but those stick out the most. Edit. Some grammar things because I'm getting hate mail. I was tired and on public transport people. Okay. Walked into my dorm room to find my roommate and her parents looking through my underwear drawer. They didn't even act apologetic. Her mom just commented on how cute my dinosaur underwear were. So weird. My roommate had no sleep schedule. He also chewed loudly, played the bass, and watched anime without headphones at the same time at 3 AM. The very first weekend of my freshman year in college, my roommate comes back from a party at like 2 AM or whatever and proceeds to vomit on my f-king desk, which did contain my laptop computer on it. Jay, I know you use Reddit. If you're reading this, FCKU. My name's Jay and I had to do a mental check of my college life to make sure it wasn't me. It's not. I don't think. She was sweet as a peach to your face, but honest to God couldn't stand not being the center of attention. Lied about insomnia to her teachers because she stayed up late playing video games and laughing super loud and calling her friends. Started seeing things the more time I spent with my boyfriend and not with her. And tried to, against campus policy, write our roommate contract with our sketchy RA so that she could claim I was breaking our agreement and get me kicked out since I was no longer paying her any attention. He had a GF that didn't attend our university that would stay the entire weekend. They stayed in bed, lights out, ordered delivery, wouldn't leave. At one point I woke up and there was a baby in our room. They were babysitting. A f-king baby. I'm glad you added, they were babysitting, because I first thought she had given birth in your room. Mine was not terrible by any means, but he did have this quirk that confuses me to this day. Whenever he got something to eat, he would put it in the room's mini fridge to chill. Burgers, fries, pizza. It all went in the fridge before he ate it. After his food was properly chilled, he would take out a head of iceberg lettuce and ranch dressing and eat it as a side. Sometimes he would rip off a leaf and dip it in a ranch bowl. But more often than not he would drizzle the ranch on the head itself and eat the whole thing like an apple. Possibly the oddest eating habit I've ever seen. She got the swine flu and was laid up in bed for days, during which she would ask me to get her food from the dining hall and I would. Obviously I would. She was sick and I'm not an asshole. Inevitably, I caught it from her. It hit me hard after she had already recovered and had her boyfriend visiting. I asked her if she please could get me anything to eat because I was starving. And she told me to get it myself because I really think you could use the fresh air. FCKU. Hillary. You knew goddamn well I couldn't get out of bed. You just didn't want to take 5 minutes out of your boyfriend time to help me live through the flu you gave me. I ended up having to get my parents to take me home until I recovered. Had a roommate come back to our dorm room from one of the many Rush Week frat parties he attended. Wasted out of his mind. He stripped down to his stained white briefs and passed out on his bed. In the middle of the night, I woke up to find him standing, totally nude, inches from my bed, his ass literally right in my face. He proceeded to fart in my face and then start pissing in the trash can next to my bed. After he was done pissing in the trash can and all over the floor, he promptly went back to his bed and passed out on his bed, face up, with no covers. I got up, got a bottle of Febreze, and sprayed the hell out of my trash can in the rug. I then realized why he pissed in my trash can. It's because he had puked in his. So, I sprayed his trash can too. Then, for good measure and because I was pissed, I spent about 30 seconds spraying his naked dick and balls with Febreze while he snored and drooled. Yeah. I hated that douchebag. They actually crammed 3 of us into a dorm room. That was bad enough because it was f-king cramped. One of the guys that was in there seemed totally fine when I first met him. Turns out all he did was stay out partying really late every night. Then he'd sleep in. Every single day. We never even got a chance to talk to this guy because he'd come back after we'd gone to sleep. And he would never even wake up until we were long gone attending classes for the day. Even then I wouldn't have cared much. Except I don't think the kid ever took a shower. He made our whole dorm room smell like some kind of sour, tangy bee. Oh. And it was f***ing awful. If I remember right. That shitty went on until Thanksgiving break. When we came back from break, all his shitty was gone and we never saw him again. He wasn't too bad on the whole. Except for the habit of alarm snooze 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 alarm snooze. Why do people do this? Edit. Whoa. More responses to a single post than I've ever gotten. Folks, I appreciate your apologies. But it wasn't you, at least. It wasn't any of the names you've said you are so far. And I'm not any of the names you've said I am so far. I was the horrible freshman roommate because of one event. I was super tired all the time, so I would often sit on the floor in the shower and just let the water wash my sorrows away. Well, I accidentally fell asleep. And I happened to fall asleep with my butt right on top of the drain. It plugged the drain and caused the entire bathroom, dorm room, and the floor below us to flood. Edit. For the record, this was a newer dorm hall and each room had their own bathroom. I would not sit on the floor of a publicly shared bathroom. What's truly horrible about this is that you let your bare asshole make contact with the shower drain in a boy's bathroom. I'm skeeving the FCK out over here. We had a suite of 6 guys. One of these guys, Ron, was a weird ass hippie who did all sorts of hysterical things. Example 1. He was barefoot wherever he went, not too bad. But we got concerned when it started snowing. Example 2. Me and another suite mate came home one day and opened the door and there were something like 5 20-gallon drums filled with dirt and dying plants. There were bugs everywhere for weeks. When we asked Ron what the FCK, he responded by exclaiming, "Look guys, can you believe the farm was giving these away for free?" Example 3. He liked to use the microwave to cook. He once baked weed into chocolate using the microwave. Impressive. Another time he put a plastic bowl in for about 20 minutes until the f-king thing vaporized and released poison smoke. Another time he made his tea so hot that it spilled and melted the carpet. Example 4. He invited my roommate in for a threesome. Guess it would have been a foursome if he had said yes, out of the blue. Example 5. He fermented apple wine under his bed. That was actually pretty cool. My roommate sold his TV and VCR in the first 2 weeks to buy drugs without telling me. He stopped going to class about the same time and also got a girlfriend. So they were in the room having sex all the time. He decided 2 months into the semester to sell weed. He ended up smoking it all. He and every one of his friends that he hung out with failed out after the first semester. There's so much more. My roommate sold his TV and VCR without telling me. So the rest of the post makes this guy seem like an asshole. But why would he need to tell you that he was selling his stuff? You know that Bull's monthly delivery from ThinkGeek? My roommate got those. He didn't bring any furniture except a mattress. So over time, he started building a chair, desk, nightstand, etc. out of cases of the empty bottles. Okay. We're 19. It's not that bad. After a while, his furniture really stunk. It had this awful musty moldy scent emanating from the boxes, so being adults, I ask him what's up. Turns out he didn't like to get up to go to the bathroom. So he was just pissing in all these empty bottles he had. Then he'd put them back in the box. And when it was full, he built furniture. That's how he lived for a year. My roommate was 7 feet 1, 340 pounds. He was a f-king ogre. The kid didn't understand personal hygiene and would shower maybe every 2-3 days. My room would smell like dirty diapers. It got so bad to the point where I couldn't have company over anymore. One day at basketball practice he was being roasted for always smelling like shit and to wear deodorant. To which he replied stunned, "All of you guys wear deodorant?" Ziled me constantly. One time I changed into my shower clothes, basketball shorts, robe, grabbed my towel and caddy, and left the room for about 15 minutes. When I came back, the chain lock was up, and I was stuck outside in the hall with wet hair and little to no clothing. This sounds like it's part of an Aziz joke, but I swear there was this one kid in my dorm that spent 2 weeks practicing My Heart Will Go On the recorder prior to Valentine's Day. I never figured out who it was, but it was driving me, and likely everyone else, up sh-t. So randomly assigned to this kid. Basically he'd do small weird sh-t, but whatever. People have their own qualities. But then, one morning I'm asleep, waking up to the sensation of my leg burning. This f-king kid lit my leg hair on fire. Now I like to think of myself as a calm person, but if you light my leg hair on fire, I'm gonna throw fisticuffs. We duke it out for 5-10 minutes. There's name calling, some blood, etc. I decided would be best to change rooms, but can't until the end of the semester. So from late September to early December I have to sit 10 feet away from this f-king weird kid that lit my leg on fire. I never got an explanation for why he did it. 1. My roommate my freshman year had a weak heart valve and didn't tell me about it. Or the fact he had a pacemaker. So as we casually walk across campus he just says, "Hey, wait a second." Proceeds to lay down, die twice before my eyes and get shocked back to life. Then act like nothing happened. 2. Walked in on him doing the nasty with his GF at 11 AM on a Sunday with the door unlocked. Saw the GF's tit. 3. Broke his bed having sex. Told me he rolled over last night and it collapsed. Which I believed until I saw his used condom on the ground. Finding someone who ends up casually dying twice in the middle of campus. That's f-king hilarious. I shared a room with one guy. He would have sex while I was in the room trying to sleep. He drank my booze, ate my food and used my stuff. One night I was sleeping while he was banging away. When they finished, they started making fun of me. I got up, walked across the room and crawled into bed with them. They were mortified. My freshman year roommate had this god-awful alarm clock that had wheels and would roll off the desk and around the room, banging into things and making this astoundingly loud blaring sound until you turned it off. He had to get up earlier than me 3 or so days a week, and he would also just let the damn thing careen around the room for a few minutes every morning while he willed himself out of bed. This was also after he'd stay up until around 3 or 4 AM most nights playing some video game that had a team chat. So I was forced to listen to him muttering, "Okay, I'm sending in my division of Space Marines," while I tried to sleep. Also knowing that I would be awoken by f-king R2D2 gone haywire in a few hours. I had a talk with him pretty soon after all this started. I lived in an apartment style dorm with a kitchen, living room, and 2 double bedrooms. One of the guys in the other bedroom fancied himself a chef. In reality, I think he was a dishwasher at Outback, so he would cook all the time in the apartment. He had this habit of hanging a plastic shopping bag from the oven door handle and just tossing cut scraps, eggshells, etc. into that bag. The problem is, he never actually threw that bag away. I was never around while he was cooking, so I didn't pay that bag much mind nor realize it was always the same bag. After couple of weeks, we started to notice a foul smell and the presence of fruit flies in the apartment. I was deep cleaning the kitchen and I brushed up against that bag and no less than 100 fruit flies burst up from inside it. Needless to say, I freaked the hell out. A visit from the RA and the maintenance team to spray, and he was required to clean up after every meal and take the trash out twice a week, on penalty of being kicked out of the dorms. She baptized me with a water bottle while I was sleeping after she caught me watching PRN. One of my suitemates regularly took Ambien and passed the FCK out. There was absolutely no waking him. At one point his roommate tried to wake him up by literally lifting the back end of his bed and shaking it. He continued to snore. He screamed in his face. Like literally less than 6 inches from his face. Wake the FCK up asshole. Snorersville. At one point, his alarm played non-stop for 3 hours. The same song. Blurry by Puddle of Mud. For 3 FCK hours. Can you take it all away? Hey I can you take it all away? Hey I f***ing hate that song now. My freshman year I caught my roommate cheating on his GF. Normally, I'd mind my own damn business. But she was a good friend of mine, so I told her. He was pissed and decided the best way to get revenge on me was to tell people he caught me jerking off. Eventually some chick asked me about the rumor, to which I replied, "Yo, I jerk off all the time but he's never walked in on it." We had a pretty good laugh about it. My roommate was so annoyed that his revenge meant so little to me that he slept in a friend's room for the rest of the semester and only used our room to store his tea.